Okay, so welcome to our Tuesday night team training call, where I'm super excited this evening to chat with you guys about how to grow and engage your VIP group. And we are super honored and grateful to have two of the very most diligent, I would say, of distributors who work very hard at growing their group, who are very consistent at growing their group, and we'll be able to share more accurately, I'm sure, the number that they started with when they started their groups and what it's at now, because I know these numbers are super impressive. So I'm going to start with my friend Natalie Summerfield. And Natalie was going to share a little bit about how she has taken her group in the last, what, it's been about a year, Natalie? You can
Yep.
give me the exact stats. From literally zero to, I want to say, close to 300. But again, I'm going to let you fill in all the details very specifically because I know you're very good at tracking those. Let us know, what do you do to constantly, and I mean constantly, this girl, I'm constantly getting notifications. All these new people are being added to your group. So what is your secret? What is the magic? What are you doing? Tell us everything.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Jen, for having me. This is pretty fun, actually, because it's one of those things that I actually do work really hard at doing, and I'm really consistent at doing it. Super important to grow your group. More eyes on products and you, like, it's a win-win combination. So for me, that's super important. So I start off at the very beginning where I actually add new friends to my actual personal page, to my list. So on a pretty regular basis, I'd say every couple of weeks I go in and I probably do about 2 or 3 days of where I go in, 2 or 3 times in a day, and I just add some new friends and I look at people and I make sure they're from Canada for me, because it's been a kind of a struggle because I end up with a lot of American friends. So I really make sure that I'm really kind of picky on who I bring in, for one reason, because there is a max to your friendship list, and my friends list has hit max at 5,000 on a regular. So I'm having to like constantly clean it up. So being picky is actually kind of a good thing from the very onset of actually doing all of this. So the second thing I really do, I'm super kind of open to new people when they come in, and I kind of talk to them right off the hop. I kind of make that like warm intro, and I kind of say, hey, how's it going? Just no sales, no nothing, just how are you? Just to kind of know who these new people are that are coming on my list. So then during the time that they're kind of hanging out on my friends list, they will see posts. They might get interested. I will always offer them to come into my VIP group. I also post on my actual personal page for people to come in to my VIP group. Those are kind of a constant rotation. I would say, like, I probably post about actually joining my group maybe once a month, maybe sometimes twice a month, depending on how things are going. But where I really kind of bring people in is every single day. I actually go in and I send a birthday message to anyone who's on my birthday list. So I'll send them a message saying happy birthday. I noticed that you're not in my VIP group. We do all these birthday fun things, blah blah blah, all the things, and here's my link. And a lot of people actually go in through that way. So I do get a lot of new people just from that birthday message. The other thing that I find works really good is, honestly, it's the parties. So during the parties, I always put up a post saying, hey, I have a giveaway. So just to give you an idea, my giveaway says, when I hit 300, I will give away a LipSense starter kit. I've been using that for the last, I'd say, about 3 months now, and that has actually generated quite a bit of interest. So I use that in every single one of the parties as one of the last posts in the actual party itself. But on top of that, I also never take no for an answer. So when parties start up, I kind of message everybody. Those that start talking, I have we chat, we kind of grow some connections. And then when it comes time for an order and people aren't ready, I always go in, I lead in with, hey, do you want to have a party just like this so that you can get free product too? And if there's still a no, I always lead in with that last piece of, Okay, this is my last and final question. I promise you I won't ask you nothing else. But please, please, if you can, please come and join my group. I'd love to have you there. And so I do get a constant flow of people that are always coming in from those pieces, but I'm consistent. I don't take no for an answer. If the last thing that I'm going to say in terms of like, all the no's, because you do get a lot, I just keep thinking, most people don't like to say no 3 times. So by the time they get to that third time where you're asking them to join your group, many will join just because they really don't want to say no one last time. So there's a lot of that that kind of happens in terms of getting everybody into the group. And once they're there, so as I'm actually bringing and approving them in, I welcome them once again. I come in, I go into their DMs, I welcome them, I thank them for being a part of the group, and I kind of ask them, is there anything that you're concerned about right now that I could perhaps help you with? If not, no big deal. Love to have you, and thanks for coming in. We're going to have a lot of fun. So those are the kinds of the things. I keep it really lighthearted, and I really do a lot of giveaways to kind of draw people in as another piece too, just because people tend to be a little iffy if they don't know what SeneGence is. And by having those giveaways, people are a little bit more tempted to come in and join and kind of check out the product and eventually hopefully become customers.
Absolutely. I love that. And what are you doing in terms of your giveaways? Are you doing full-size products? Are you doing samples?
So it depends. It all depends on the month. So if I'm not having the greatest of month, I will do samples. And because my biggest thing is I find that when I'm actually talking to people, people are like, I don't know what SeneGence is. So I send out samples, and a lot of people actually tend to gravitate to at least purchase one more thing and one more thing once they actually start using the samples. So when I get talking to people and they're even just a little bit like, oh, what do you sell? And they don't really know what the products are, I jump in with a sample and send that out. So my giveaways often, if I'm not having the greatest of months, is just the samples. Just having them in their hands, amazing. The other thing I've been doing is I've been buying on super discount. So like when my discount is high, I'll go buy something that's on special and use that as a giveaway as well. So I'm paying maybe, $8 to $10 perhaps on some of these giveaways. So I'm looking at the ones that actually do generate a lot of attention. And those are the ones that I use like the bigger giveaways for. If I'm not getting very much during the month, I go with the samples. It's a pretty simple system for me.
Super smart. I have to give you props, because when you're talking about, and I wrote it down, getting a lot of no's. So I want you guys to like pay attention to what Natalie said there, because Natalie is someone who isn't afraid to get a no. In fact, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've kind of come to the point to expect it. And if you've been in business for any length of time, especially a business like this, we could just kind of expect the fact that you are going to hear no's. Not always easy, especially when you're just new starting out. But once you're a little bit more seasoned, and Natalie's been in business, for a little while, it can certainly become second nature. So I'm really, really, really glad you mentioned that, because I think there's probably a lot of newer people watching this going like, oh my gosh, if someone said no to me, I don't know what I'd do. But you're right. You got to wear them down a little bit too, right? So I love that.
Absolutely. The best thing that I heard was that most people need 12 touches before they actually turn to trust you in terms of something. So keep that in mind. You'll get 12 no's before someone will say a yes sometimes. So I find that was always a good inspiration for me, was that, listen, you're going to get a lot of no's. There's a lot of reasons why you're getting no's. Some of them you might understand, some of them you might not. And some of it might just be a fact of trust. So just keep going. Many times you do wear people down. I know that sounds awful, but that's kind of like how it works psychologically, right? It's like eventually they're like, okay, you know what? You've asked me so many times. I'm going to give you a try now. Like I'll take that $10 or $15 sale item that's going on right now just to be able to try it. And often, I'm telling you, once they try it, they'll be back.
They're hooked. We know how that goes, right?
Yep.
I love it.
We're proof.
We're proof. We are. We're all in the same boat there.
Yeah.
I would love to know, at the beginning, you talked about you're adding friends to your network. and then you're messaging them. What I would really like to know, because I think you talked about what you're messaging, I would like to know, or for you to share, approximately, say on average, doesn't have to be an exact number, but on average, how many people are you adding and at what frequency?
Um, I would say I'll go monthly because that seems to be more of how I targeted it. I set my goals up a lot by month. So my goal every month is to bring in at least 50 new friends on my friends list. So that sometimes is parties and sometimes it's other things, but I do like if let's say I only have one or two parties and they're not a whole lot of people, I'll start to kind of look, okay, I'm going to need to add to get to my goal. So that's kind of how I look at it as a goal monthly. I say I need to get 50 new people into my page somehow on my friends list. From there, I'm hoping that at least, I get maybe 5% to 10% of those people looking at my page at the same time. So it's just a kind of a matter of playing like it's a sort of a numbers game, honestly.
And I love that you pay attention to your numbers. So I would encourage anyone watching this that's wanting to grow their group, track your numbers a little bit, because
Mhm.
it's one thing to say, well, I'd love to grow my group. Well, maybe I need to grow my friends list. And then it just kind of flounders, right? But if you are really clear, which Natalie, you're very good with your numbers, you are, on point month after month with kind of where you want to go. I would recommend anyone looking to grow their group to, I can see a little clapping going on back there. Yeah, she's clapping for you. I would recommend that, you do that, have a target and say, how many am I going to add? So last question for you as well. And if there's anything else you want to add, feel free. How do you choose? So sometimes as a new distributor, someone might go, oh, first of all, they might go, oh, I got to add somebody new that I don't know. So maybe how do you get around that feeling? And then
Yep.
also, how are you choosing? Are you simply just going through the recommended suggestions from Facebook?
So no, so there's a few different things that I do when I look at my friends that I'm adding. So one of the big things that I look at is I kind of shy away from people that don't wear a lot of makeup that are kind of younger, just because I want to make space for people that actually do wear makeup and they'll have skincare in there as well. And I also look for the older kind of generation as well. I'm going to be God, it's so hard to say this. I'm going to be 50 next year. So, I know what some of that stuff really looks like, the wrinkles and all the things. And so I know I'm looking at those things. And I know that other ladies that are around my age are also right into that stuff as well. So those are kind of like where I kind of gravitate to, because it's kind of where I'm at as well, right? So those are the people that I look to. I also definitely make sure Canadian. And the other thing I kind of do too is I really want to build some more local kind of customers and things like that too. So what I do is I go into the friends list and I'll write, like, I'm in Edmonton. So I'll write Edmonton and I'll look at all the friends and I'll kind of go through there and I'll add some friends there. And then I know Edmonton has a whole bunch of little suburbs around it. So I'll start kind of searching those out as well. And I start adding as well there. So those are kind of those pieces that I've been doing. And another piece that I've done too that I feel works really good that I do kind of want to throw in here is if you're parts of groups and that you're allowed to post for certain kinds of like giveaways or those kinds of things, it's always kind of a nice way to draw some people and start looking if they kind of do fit in your world as well. Because you'll always get somebody that'll be interested in freebies, but sometimes you can tell that they're just like, they're not about the product, it's just not good enough or whatever. You can kind of weed out your people as they're kind of coming at you. So I find that groups you've got a lot more people that you can kind of tap into and kind of bring into your world slowly. It's kind of a funnel in a way, right? Because there's a lot of people there, a lot of people that would be interested in what you have. And it's just to kind of sort of find who's good and who you want in your world and bring them into your group.
So smart. I love that. I look for people with makeup on too sometimes. Like, who I'll add. Yes.
Yeah, you.
Like
Oh,
lipstick too. Yeah.
yeah.
So good, so smart. Feel free to stay on. If you need to hop off, that's totally fine too. And if, as we're on, and if you stay on and you want to share something at the end because another thing pops in your brain, absolutely feel free to come back and do that. But thank you so much. Those
Thank you.
were wonderful. Oh, and before we let you go, what is your group at right now? Starting from 0 and now at?
Okay, so I started in January of last year. My group, when I was done my launch, I think was like 36 or 40 people. I don't remember the exact number, but I do know it was around that. I started to slowly grow my group, and then I kind of like I had some family emergencies that kind of happened in my life. So I kind of stepped away from Senegence, and then I jumped back in October. And I think my group, let me see, my group had grown to 89 people at that point in the end of September. And then I started jumping in and I was like, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to do everything I can to be consistent and really try to run my business. And I would say on average, I'd say anywhere from about 10 to 15 people weekly on a good week. I mean, there are some weeks where people just don't bite. They're just not interested in coming to see the link, which is fine. Don't get discouraged because you're not getting bites on it. Keep going because there are people that will actually go in and have a look and be interested in and actually join your group from there as well. So those were my kind of things. So over the last, I'd say what's that, October, November, December, January, February, the last 5 months, I've grown it from 96 people and today it's at 294.
Wow. Kudos to you, girl. That is impressive. And just so you guys know, Natalie does work a full-time job. So she is a busy mama, grandma, all the things, doing everything all at once. So props to you, girl. That is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing. Those are some fabulous tips, and I definitely took some notes. So I will be interested and excited to implement some things myself. So thank you so much. All right. We are going to move on to the amazing Kyle. Kyle also came into the business actually just this past September. Kyle's group was at 0, of course, when we began. We did actually a little makeup workshop first for Kyle. Kyle hosted something for me, chose not to jump into the business, even though I believe I did ask. Nonetheless, we went back and forth as we do. And Kyle's group is, well, I'm going to let Kyle tell the story. So Kyle's done an amazing job to grow their group. Kyle, how did you do it? And where are you at?
Well, as you said, we started with that workshop. I believe that workshop was in August of last year, if I'm remembering correctly. And I had about 25 friends in there at the time, I think. And then we had the party and you had asked me, and then we kind of like left it. But you and I became friends on Facebook because I feel like we just had like this connection and like a lot of similar things. And I also joined your makeup group, and eventually like free sign up month came around in September, and I think you had approached me again, and I again was like, no. And then I think you asked me one more time, and I was like, okay, you know what? It was like just after my birthday and I was in the hospital. I'm going to do something for me and I'm going to try it. And that's what I did. And because I already had that like workshop group started, we just turned that into my group. We renamed it. I like went live. I said, guess what, guys? I decided to be a distributor now. And would like really appreciate it if you have any makeup or skincare loving friends, if you could also invite them. This is going to be a lot of fun. And then like slowly the numbers started to grow, like very slowly at first. It really took until I got the actual Senegence product myself and to be able to demonstrate more and more. And then people would see me applying them, and from there they would purchase. And then from there, those people would tell their friends, oh, like I just tried this like really great stuff. And I think the difference for the people who were already in there, who didn't purchase from you, Jen, but who purchased from me, a lot of the people who did actually were people who were, before I joined Senegence, always asking me about my makeup and, oh, like, what lipstick are you wearing? And then they would go out the next day and buy it. So once I started to do that and sell this, I already had that connection with a lot of people. And then I started to like be invited into vendor groups, which I had no idea what I was doing in. And very seldom did I make any sales in vendor groups, but I would often funnel a lot of people into my group from there because people either weren't ready to purchase at the time, or they just liked the messages that I was saying, because I'm very personal in my lives. Like, I talk about my life. I talk about there's like pretty much nothing off limits that I don't talk about in my group. And I think that people really like this approach. They connect to me well. I get messages all the time like, oh, I just joined your group because I love to watch you. You're so inspirational. And then like from there, I'll be like, that's so wonderful. I know you don't wear makeup, but did you know that your skin is your biggest organ and you should really take care of it? And then from there, the conversation goes into like skincare. I also go into like community groups 2 to 3 times a month, and I do a post or a live in there just talking about what's going on in my group and how I would love to have you there. I'm in like a few trans groups, a few LGBT groups. Those are my communities. You might like want to join a mom community, for example, or anything, because like your people are your people and they want to help and support you in ways that they can. And even if you're just like, every like helps, every group, every comment helps. People love that, and it really does boost things. And I am always honest with my clients. I will, if they want to buy something that I don't think is right for them, I will say, I don't think this is right for you. For example, last week we had those 2 powders on sale, and I have one super loyal client. She orders from me multiple times a month, and she was like, I'm going to take a translucent and a light powder. And right away, I was like, I got to call you. So I hit the call on the messenger button, and I was like, Gabby, like, why do you want to buy both? And she was like, well, I don't know. I've never used powder. And I was like, okay, well, let's just start with one. How about instead of the extra item, I put this item on discount because I know you love this, and I'll give that. And then if you decide you want to buy another powder down the line, I will honor this price just for you. Or for you. I never say just for you. I say for you, because just for you would be a lie, because I do it for multiple people. And that kind of loyalty kind of brings in other people as well, because they're like, oh, this person like could have made more money off of me, but they told me like, actually don't buy this isn't right for you. And then when it comes to like friends on my personal page, I do a lot of the same things that Natalie had mentioned. I go live on my personal page as often as I can. Sometimes I'm talking about the business, sometimes I'm just getting ready, doing my makeup. And anybody who is not in my group at the time, who either likes, comments, or I see they view it, if they haven't already been invited, or if they have been invited, I will send them a little message saying, hey, like, I noticed you liked my video today. Just so you know, there's a lot more of that going on in this group. I try not to overflow my personal feed with this kind of stuff, but if you are interested, we would love to have you over there. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of what else. And yeah, I do the same thing as Natalie. I go through the suggested friends. If anybody is wearing makeup, I will try to add them. I do recommend, if you are doing this technique though, to take a look at the friends you have in common. I do not add Senna Sisters friends, just because I don't think that would be, that's not the kind of loyalty that we have with each other. We don't compete with each other. We lift each other up. And that would be, I think, pushing a sister down. I mean, sometimes like these people end up finding you anyway. Mm-hmm. And your people are your people. They will find you. If they have connected with another Senna sister and for some reason there is a disconnect there, but they connect with you, that is the time that I will sell to them. But I will never, ever take a sale knowingly from another distributor unless I have had the conversation with them. Like, I noticed you're also in this person's group, or I noticed, like, why aren't you buying from them? Mm-hmm. And like, if there is a legitimately good reason, that is the only time I will sell to them. If not, I will redirect them back to the original distributor with which they started. And I had my notepad, and now I'm like, what am I doing?
That's okay. Everything you've shared so far is great. And I think something I really love, and I do love your lives, and I think they, for people who are online, they see someone being authentic and they feel connected to you for that reason. So I get what you're saying for that. Go live, whether your house is a mess, whether your house is clean, whether your kids are screaming. You can't hear my kids right now, but one of them is screaming upstairs. Like, just be you, I think. And you do that very well. You do that very well. So obviously you'll continue to do your lives, but if you're not going live out there, distributors, new distributors, whomever, the other thing I love that you do, Kyle, you get into the DMs. You're not just like clicking and praying. You're not saying, oh, I'm gonna add them as a friend and then, well, hopefully. So what would be like the average thing? So I just got my 10-minute warning that we have 10 minutes left. That's fine. What would be like, when you're going through the process, say, tell me a couple of things that you do, maybe when you first add someone as a friend.
So first, so when I add people to my friends list, I usually do it around the same time as I'm going to do a live in my personal group so that they have the opportunity to see it. Because I think that Facebook does this weird thing that when you get a new friend, their stuff automatically just shows up in your feed first. And then from there, that's when I get their likes or their comments. And then that's when I will reach out and DM them. Immediately, and then I leave the rest for a little bit later. But I message them. I just say, I noticed you like that. I don't know if you're aware, but I have this VIP group where I talk about all things makeup, beauty, skincare, fashion, like whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about witchcraft even. Like, just come join my group and have some fun. There's never any pressure to purchase. I just love to get this information out there about this great line and this great skincare. And like, you can even take this information with you and use it with the products that you're using, which they probably won't work as well, but you can. And then they come into my group and slowly they can make purchases. And I do the same thing as Natalie too. I'm always offering samples, like, would you like a sample this month? Like, I have this coming up on special. I don't know if you want to have a sample of it, but if you do, I can definitely get that for you. Or if you're ready to purchase, we have a great return policy. And then samples, almost, like, I would say 90% of the time, samples always generate a sale, especially CCTM and Resurfacer. Like, those are and Climate Control. Those are the top three. If you are like nervous about samples, these are the three that I would definitely recommend getting into your client's hands. Climate Control and Resurfacer just make everything else so much more effective. And when they start with one or two of these products and they see that, and then they see the results of the products that they are using already become more effective, they wonder, oh, well, if this is this effective and this is making this crap from the drugstore this much more effective, what if I use all of the steps in the thing? And there they slowly start to build. I feel like I'm talking more about sales than growing my group right now,
but I think something you said there is so key. At least it was for me, as a light bulb moment, which is why I love having these kind of calls where we can be here and chat together, because some of these tidbits just get dropped and you're like, wait, what did you say? So something you just said, which was, you can take a post from your personal page. And I don't know if you're like me, I try to post once a day on my personal page. So 7 days a week. One of those posts will be about SeneGence. That's just my personal rule of thumb. That's what works for me. That's what I aim to do. However, if you're posting, so is this what you said? When you post on your personal page, that if someone likes it, you're going to message them and just say, hey, I saw that you like that. Here's my
yeah.
I think that is like such a simple step that you can incorporate.
Yeah. And like, the other thing is to when you do that, they're like, oh wow, you're really paying attention to who is liking you, like you're actually reaching out to me about this. And it's not in like a, like people will feel like you're being pushy, but I think that Tracy Zimmer says it best when you think about all the emails you get from Old Navy daily, and like people don't unsubscribe to those emails. So if you can like send a personal message to a friend that you know, why would they be bothered by this? Like, I mean, there are some people who are very anti MLM and they will tell you directly, and that is fine, that you just leave that conversation there and
You'll filter
don't
those
let that
people out, like in the early stages of your business, those people will be
Yeah.
quickly filtered out. So you might hear that at the beginning, and then once they see how committed and passionate you are, you don't hear that anymore. But I get what you're saying. And I love that. I think even you could consider, taking it to the next level and messaging the people who are viewing your Senegent stories. Especially if
Yes.
they're looking at them every day. I had a friend once who said she used to write down the names of every single person who looked at her stories every day. And she sat there and made a list every day. I was like, wow, that's committed. I don't know if I'm that committed to writing down the names of people who are viewing my stories. However, even if you did a screenshot, and if those names keep showing up, I think that those would be valid people to reach out to share with, because they're continuing to watch you, right? They're interested in what you're doing.
Right. Right. And I do have one little piece of advice that for people who are nervous to do lives, and it would be to like pre-record yourself in a video and then post it on your personal page. And then you can just select the people who you want to see it, like whether or not it's a few family members, like 1, 2, 3, however, whatever number you're comfortable with, the people who you are comfortable with and who will give you honest feedback, because it will never be bad feedback. It will always be positive feedback, but sometimes people just need to hear that from the people they love, and just take slower steps. And then from there, you can release that video into your group. And then the next step would be going live, even if you've already done your makeup. Like if you don't want to do a full get ready with me, just come on and say, hi, like, welcome to my group, whatever the name of your group is. Thank you for being here. I am this. This is what I am wearing today. This is our specials of the week. I hope you all have a magical day, like, or whatever it is. Like you can literally just pop on for 90 seconds and be good. And from there, you can get reactions, likes, comments, all the things you need in order to start messaging the people in your group.
I love that. I love that. That is a fantastic tip. Okay, we have 2 minutes left here together. Natalie, do you have anything else you wanted to share? I'll come back to you, Kyle, before we end. Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted. Hold on. Oh, are you good? Where are you? Maybe you can unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
You are there.
All right. One thing is I think the biggest thing when I started was I was always having a hard time with, like, is this really worth it? Like, because I wasn't always seeing results. Just know, keep going and keep doing, because the more you're consistent, the more people will actually start seeing that you're serious about it too. So you will eventually see better results, even though you're not maybe seeing it at the very beginning. So my thing is, like, between that and no's, it's going to happen all the time. Even probably in Jen's world, she probably gets just as many no's, if not more, dealing with the amount of numbers that she has. So just know that you're going to hear it and not to really let it bother you, and that the no's will eventually turn into yeses. So just realize that that's kind of the goal. Get as many no's as you will get a yes.
That is absolute gold. Did you guys hear what Natalie said? To keep showing up, to stay consistent, and don't get deterred by the no's. That is absolute gold. And if you can follow that advice and continue to work to grow your business will in fact grow. Absolutely. I love that. I love that you said that. All right, Kyle, I'm going to let you end it here. Do you have a last tidbit with us to share with us before we go tonight? We've got 1 minute and 10 seconds. It's all yours.
Okay, I'll try to say this really quickly. My one tip would be to learn from your leaders. They are so experienced, but you also know your audience and your people. For example, last week, for the first 5 days, I did all of the content as scheduled from the leaders. This is my first March Madness. I just wanted to do things as they were. The sales not going the way I wanted them to. So on Saturday, I said, you know what? I'm doing my own thing today. My number jumped from 4 items to 16 items in one day. So it's very important to follow your intuition, learn from each other, but listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, and know your audience.
I love that. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Kyle, Natalie, you guys are absolute pros. You're incredible. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. And thank you everyone for being here and checking this out. Have an amazing night, guys. Bye-bye.